Inger is here, and she is from PSL. I don't want Presbyterian St. Luke's, and she is a wonderful PT and a lovely lady. I got the chance to talk to her last night. She's going to talk to you about exercise and body mechanics, and you have some bands in your bags that we'd love for you to bring out and take a look at while she's talking. So Inger, come on up.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you guys for having me. So we have the bands, and we're going to talk about them, but I just wasn't sure timing-wise, are we running? Okay. All right. So we're going to do a couple of things. I also want you to know if you do have a latex allergy, we have latex-free bands available. I also have some longer ones as well, so the different colors are different strengths. So we'll talk about that in a bit. And I'm also here available to ask questions. There is a handout with some real simple exercises on there. So, okay, if you can do the next slide, please. Okay, so I'm an outpatient PT. I've been an outpatient a PT for a long time. We're not going to do the math. And I don't have any other financial disclosures. Okay, next. Okay, so you've heard a lot about exercise, but what I have found when I'm working with patients that have been in the hospital multiple times, have a lot of medical appointments, the idea of even going for a walk can feel like too much, right? We're here in Colorado. It'd be like looking up at a big, tall 14er and thinking, how in the world am I going to make it to the top and do 150 minutes of exercise in a week? And when we tackle a mountain, we don't go straight up the steep part, we do switchbacks. So we don't always necessarily look at the top, we're going to look at the next piece that we're going to, and it can make it a little bit easier. Okay, so if you're just starting out or restarting, a lot of times when you're in and out of treatment, your ability to exercise is going to be different at different times. That's okay. It doesn't have to look the same. A lot of people like routine. I don't. I like to do something different. I'm terrible at counting. If you've had PT, you know we all are. It gets you to do a little bit more if we can't count. But so what we want to do is look at consistency and focusing on getting a routine. So oftentimes in the beginning, it isn't so important what you're doing, but that you're getting a routine in, because you can always build on the exercise. You've heard a lot about how beneficial exercise is. The beauty of not being necessarily in a good place and not having a lot of energy and maybe struggling to get dressed and ready for the day, and that takes a lot out of you, just that shower and dressing. You're going to benefit from the exercise the most. So the lower you start, the more benefit you're going to have. So that's actually a real good positive. And what we like to do is find something enjoyable. And just because your therapist or your physician recommended one particular activity, that doesn't mean it's the right one for you. Because if you really despise it, it's going to be hard to make it part of your routine. So it can look like a lot of different things, and that's fantastic. You can have a short PT session to help design something for you. And having someone else be accountable with you, whether it's through FaceTime, through the internet, or family member, it can really help. I have volleyball teammates I've been playing with for 30 years, and it's a very social activity for me. I am having to prepare for the senior games in October, so we'll see how that goes, but okay. I actually have some knowledge in how to get myself prepared, so okay, we're all right. The try not to go more than 3 days without doing something comes from the American Diabetes Association. And there's a lot of research that shows that after 3 days, the habit tends to fall off a cliff. So, and it might not be your whole routine. And so you get yourself 1 day if you have the flu or you had a procedure, okay. You can even have that second day, but on the third day, do something. And again, it doesn't have to be the whole routine, but that really makes a big difference in helping you keep up the exercises. And doing a portion of the exercise is absolutely better than not doing it. It makes it easier to keep. And sometimes that's just doing a lap around your couch, a lap around the desk. When we talk about hydrating, I often tell people if you're drinking water, your bladder is probably going to get you up pretty frequently, and you can throw in just a lap around the house at that point. Okay, next slide. Okay, so you can break up the exercise to make it easier. Sometimes it may seem like a lot to do 30 minutes of exercise. And we know that even doing it for 5 or 10 minutes has carryover. So you can break it up through the day. And you might know if you have a little more energy in the morning compared to later in the day, you can make that timing of the exercise worth it. So I will even tell some of my patients that maybe aren't in a place where they can go for a walk. Okay, every time you stand up to go to the bathroom or go into the kitchen, when you go to sit back down, do it 5 times. You'll get 50 to 100 squats in during that day, and it's relatively simple. So sometimes it's finding something that cues you. Marching in place. So you're sitting in a chair and you're just marching with your arms and your legs. And again, this is when you're not feeling too great. You can do it during the set of commercials. Well, a lot of people stream. There's commercials and streaming too. And then you can work up to marching in place when you're watching a show and you're resting during the commercials. So again, it can be relatively simple. And then when you're feeling better, you can jump right in back to the other exercises you're doing. But I think having a plan in place for when the day isn't maybe the greatest day you're having, you're still going to have a good day, but that you have a way of still participating. Okay, but if you have something done, double check with your medical team that the exercise you want to do is still okay to do, because sometimes they want you to wait for just a little bit. Okay, so for some of my patients, like when the weather is bad or they're not sure how far they can walk, I'll tell them when they come to the medical office building, we have chairs by the elevator, we have accessible bathrooms, and we have a walkway, and PSL has a heated front entrance, so there isn't ice. So you can come and do a couple of laps while you go to your appointments. It's actually fairly easy. So I have some patients that their caregiver wasn't able to come with them, and they're like, well, I can't get up and walk because what if someone isn't there? Well, just let me know in the office and we'll have someone do a loop just to check. And in those medical buildings, there's usually someone else around. So it can make it a little less scary and easier to add, okay? And then next slide. Okay, the exercise bands and the exercise program that I wrote out, try the activities first without the exercise band and just make sure it feels safe. Again, if anything doesn't feel easy to do or it is a strain, please don't do it. Just ask for some help. But again, try it without the bands first. Okay, and then next, we'll talk a little bit more. I just wanted to see how much time we had. Okay. So what I wanted to do is talk about core. We've all heard about the core, right? And you would love to hear more from a therapist, right? Of course. Okay. So your core, I think it's a little overlooked, but it really is a 3-dimensional box. You have your stomach muscles, your back muscles, your hips, your shoulders are involved too. But what gets glossed over is the pelvic floor and the diaphragm. The top and bottom of the box really rounds it out. So it's important to consider. And a lot of people say, well, my core isn't very good. You'd be surprised. Your core is actually designed quite well. So I'm a PT, so I'm going to make you move, right? Of course. If you guys can scoot your chairs back just a little bit, so have a little bit of space, and then come forward in your seat. So you're just not sitting all the way back, right? Okay. So then what I want you to do is just swing your arms like a mark. And I want you to pay attention to your stomach and your back muscles. Okay? Can you feel them kick in? Right? Okay. Now do it just a little faster. Do they kick in a little more robustly? Right? You slow down. Ah, oh, your core works. It's not an excuse not to do the exercises. Okay. So our core is designed to ramp up as we need it, and then to slow down and not be as intense when you don't need it. Because we can't have it braced all the time, then we can't breathe or do all the things that we want to do. But we can make our core more efficient. So that's what we're going to talk about next. Okay, next slide. Okay, abdominals, the six-pack. Okay, that does a lot for us. So there's a picture of that. The picture that is next to the skeleton is of a dog. So dogs have six-packs too. Well, why is that? So the bands of white help make that really long muscle, the rectus, stronger, and it kind of divides it up. And each of those divisions has its own blood supply and nerve supply, which is great. But I think that makes the surgeons want to go in there, right? Don't they? Yeah, I know. You just can't help yourself. The plastic surgeons like to take the rectus too. Okay, because it's such a wonderful muscle. So it helps support you, right? Helps you move. So when the rectus contracts, you flex. It helps resist bending back. But its number one job, we don't always think about, is to help you with breathing, right? So who knew that? Yeah, awesome. And sometimes you don't necessarily recognize it. So when I really want my stomach muscles kicking in, what do? We hold our breath. Because the abdominals are going to prioritize breathing. So if you breathe out with an S sound, can you feel how that kicks in? Yeah, so it is helpful to understand. So that's why we want to be careful when we're doing a lot with lifting or we're doing something with power. We want to make sure we can keep our breath moving. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, so we have a lot of thoughts about the rectus, right? Mine's still hiding under its winter fat, but that's okay. It's a little shy, but it is part of the deep fascia. And this is kind of important. So if you take your hand and you move it along your forearm, you can move the skin pretty easy, right? You can feel it moving underneath you. You put your hand on your tummy and you move it. Can you feel how so much more is moving? Yeah, I know. So it is really, even though it's on the surface, it's part of our deep fascia. And that deep fascia is connected all the way from our chin, under our tongue, the front of our neck, the sternum, the rectus. It also goes down to the pubic bone and actually to my tailbone. So it connects my chin to my tailbone, which is fairly important. Okay. So while you're sitting in the chair, kind of sit up tall, and what I want you to do is lean back till you feel your stomach kick in. Okay? And come forward. Yep. And then one more time, just leaning back, feeling when that kicks in. All right, so I told you it's connected to your chin, so I want you to look up and then lean back, keeping your back straight. Did you feel it kick in a little faster? Yeah? Anybody not feel that? Okay, now tuck your chin down and lean back. And when does that ab kick in? Oh, did it go on vacation? So you can feel the difference. So this is part of the reason why us therapists are always saying your posture, your posture, your posture. So that sets up your core kicking in. So you can even, if you arch your back a little bit, stick your booty out, lean back, you'll feel those abs kick in a little bit more. But then if you tuck your tail in and you lean back, again, your stomach doesn't kick in as fast. So our core isn't always just not working, it's just maybe not where we don't have the best posture to have it be efficient, especially when we're fatigued and we're tired. We're not necessarily letting that kick in as quickly. Okay, so, and again, if you have abdominal surgery, you have to be a little bit careful. Okay, I think that was everything. Okay, next slide. I'm trying to remember what so another beautiful thing about the rectus is that all of the other stomach muscles are connected to it. So your rectus is like a pillar of stability, but it moves. So it's almost the mother hen of your core muscles because it's involved in everything. It kind of wants to know what's going on. And that can be great when I'm really struggling to move. Okay. It's very important now. But also, we don't want it on all of the time like a helicoptering mom. So we want it on when it's needed, but also at rest when it's not. Okay, so another thing that the abdominal muscles do is it connect, because it's part of that deep fascia, it connects our trunk to our extremities. So if I want to do anything with my arms and legs, I really do need that rectus involved. So what I'd like you to do is just picture yourself doing a pull-up. Pull yourself up. Okay, you're starting out your exercise, so you're not that strong yet. So you really got to do a pull-up. Can you feel your abs kick in when you do that? Yeah? Okay, so now I want you to just get them to relax. I'll give them a little, okay. Don't let your abs contract, just keep them really loosey-goosey. Now try that pull-up again. Can you kind of feel how your arms aren't really attached to your trunk anymore? It's quite different. Can you guys feel that? Yeah, no? Done with the lectures? Okay, but so it really helps us move and helps us have power, but it doesn't have to be on super strong. Okay, so next slide. All right. So I was asked to just talk to the caregivers a little bit, so I made some videos of body mechanics when you're helping someone, just to keep yourself safe, because I think it is important. And also, as a PT, I often will have a session. Yes, I have my patient, but the caregiver is also a very important part of the team. And we can spend a whole session on lifting and carrying, moving the wheelchair, whatever it is we need to do just to make sure everybody's safe. So it's absolutely okay to ask for that. And again, there's good days, bad days, so it's helpful to see. Okay, so it's important to communicate. And I know when my father had cancer, it was just really hard to switch that role, because he was always, the one in charge, and to have to listen to his daughter, even though they paid for my education, it was just hard. So I think having an open communication about what kind of help you need, because sometimes the caregivers, they do care so much, they want to help you anytime they see you struggling, but maybe you want to try to do it yourself, or maybe you want help. So I think it's just being able to talk about the kind of help you need. The other thing I would say, if you're out in public and someone's holding the door for you or asks you for help, several of my patients say, well, they didn't think I could do it. I'm like, actually, no. We're much more selfish creatures than that. They probably want to feel good about themselves, like, I helped that person today. It wasn't necessarily that you couldn't do it. So we're often in our own little bubble. So it's okay to ask for help. So, and again, talking through the plan, particularly if something's a little bit different. Wet floors are tough, so be careful in the bathroom. Slippery skin after a shower and a bath. Comforters tend to be kind of slick, so that's another place where you can. And also, if you tend to be in a hurry, it's a little hard to keep in mind, but it is easier to clean up a mess than sometimes get you up off the floor. So you don't always want to be in a hurry, although I know when you really have to go, you can get a little anxious. But that's where, talking to each other is good. Set a timer so I didn't talk too much. Okay. All right. So next, I think this is the videos I took. Okay. So when you're lifting, the simplest part of lifting mechanics can be the hardest. Clear the path. Know where you're going. And I have to admit, I'm very guilty of this. I'll pick up the box and then reach over and move it and not necessarily keep myself square. So if you can play that, hopefully this comes across.
All right, so we're going to talk to you about proper body mechanics for lifting a box. So what you don't want to do is bend your back without moving your knees, lift it up, which you're loading your spine at the end of the range of motion, and then twist. That's the worst thing you could do for your back, but what you do want to do is keep your back straight and bend your knees, either like that, or you can squat. I think by keeping your eyes up, you keep your back a little straighter, and then you lift up, pushing with your legs. If you're going to set it down, you want to take a step to set it down, opposed to just twisting. Okay?
Yep. And a lot of times you can run into trouble when it's something light and you do it a bunch of times. So, okay, next slide. Okay, so this is helping someone out of bed. Okay, go ahead. Okay, and we're ready.
All right, so we're going to go through a log roll, which is something we do a lot of times after back or belly surgery. And there's some other times we do it as well. But we're going to you basically get up and down from bed from a sideline position. But there's a couple extra things we do that make it a little easier and go smoother. So I'm going to have you bend your knees. Then I'm going to have you move this elbow out of the way so it doesn't get stuck once you roll. And then go ahead and roll towards your side. And then the next thing is you got to go a little more towards your belly button than you think. And then hook your heels off the side of the mattress and just dig them into the side of the mattress. This is a little hard because it's so thin, but a mattress you could see at the top of the mattress, but on the side. And then push up with your arms and let your legs down, and it'll just happen naturally. Great. And then
It's the opposite when you go down. You definitely want that chicken wing to come out. Okay, so I know I am running out of time, but I do have some other videos that you guys, if you want, for your website, talking about if someone sits up and they're dizzy. A lot of times you have blood that goes to your belly and your legs. A good diaphragmatic breath is your diaphragm's the second largest pump. So just taking your time, that can be helpful. And then with the TheraBand, since we do have some time, if you guys have some questions, if you want to look over the exercises, I'm happy to go over that with you. The further apart you pull the TheraBand, the more resistance you get. I also have other ones if you want a little longer piece. If you've used it in the past and you just want some, I have some. Shh, don't tell PSO, but I brought it with me. Okay? All right, is there any questions?